Hi YouTube, it's Alejandro, and I'm doing another deck profile, this time over Shadow Dragons, Dragon World. And you'll notice steadier camera work in this video because I got a tripod. So yeah, the flag, I'm using the promo flag from Evolution and Mutation, which is a really cool flag. Roar, the Dragon Lord's breath, shine forth like sun. So yeah, so for the buddy of the deck is Shadow Dragon. It's a size 0 with 1k attack, defense, and 1 critical. You may have any number of Shadow Dragon in your deck, so you can literally have any number of copies of this guy, not limited to 4. And his ability, Act, Call for Friends. Pay a gauge. If you do, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your drop zone, and call any number of Shadow Dragon from among them by paying their call cost. So yeah, basically how this deck works is Shadow Dragon's like the main core center unit, and he basically evolves by combining with other Shadow Dragons. If I had to compare it to something, it's kind of like in Pokemon, if anyone's ever seen Pokemon X, Y, and Z, with Zygarde, who's like the core, that would be like Shadow Dragon, which the more Zygarde sells, it would absorb the bigger and stronger forms it would unlock. It's basically that sort of idea. Now, also remember to keep in mind that I don't have the full number of copies I need for all the cards, but I couldn't really wait on this video, so I'm just gonna do it right now. I'll list the number of how many you should have, just to give you an idea. If anything, I'll probably put a deck list number down below. So yeah, let's start with the Shadow Dragons in order. Normally I do size 3, then 2, then 1, but in this case I think I'm going to do it backwards. So for Shadow Dragon, because you can have multiple copies of him, I'm running, my ideal number would be up to 15 copies. That's my ideal number that I want to use for Shadow Dragon. Not too much, not too little. It's my magic number for this guy. So yeah, because of his ability, sending him to the drop zone really helps with... Wow, those are some shadowy eyes. Anyway, like I said, it really helps with building up more cards in the drop zone because they combine from the drop zone, which really helps with that. Okay, now moving on to his first form. 4 copies of Die Shadow Dragon. Now you'll also notice for each form, he also goes up by 1 size. He has the same... has 1k attack and defense, like original, but he's got an updated 2 critical. Now his call cost. Put a Shadow Dragon from your field and 2 Shadow Dragon from your drop zone into this card's soul and pay 3 gauge. So you need 2 in this drop zone and 1 in the field, so that's a total of 3. That gives him a 3-card soul guard. He has lifelink. You also notice that each evolved form has lifelink, but there's cards in the deck to help out with that, to balance things out. And his ability, all Shadow Dragon on your field, not just Shadow Dragon monster, but all attribute Shadow Dragon cards, get plus 1,000 attack for every Shadow Dragon in his soul. So that's plus 3,000, giving himself, for example, a total of 4,000 power, which isn't too much. I mean, this deck really believes in the concept of strength in numbers, which you'll kind of notice with the pattern. Okay. Okay, so next up, 4 copies of Dread Shadow Dragon. I'm playing this backwards card as a sort of placeholder. But yeah, you're going to want to run 4 of this guy. He's the size 2 evolved form. He requires up to 6 in total. 2k attack, 1k defense, critical of 3. Put a Shadow Dragon from your field and 5 Shadow Dragon from your drop zone to this card's soul and pay 3 gauge. So yeah, they pretty much all cost 3 gauge, so it's pretty hefty. And you'll also notice that besides the one from the field, it'll keep increasing the number that you need from the drop zone, which is why you need so many Shadow Dragons from this deck. And his ability is also stronger. For all Shadow Dragon on your field, get plus 2,000 power for each Shadow Dragon in this card's soul. So instead of 1,000, it's plus 2,000. He's got Soul Guard. You'll also notice his lifelink has gone up to 2. And he's also got Penetrate, so that's really cool. So yeah, you're going to want to run 4 copies of this guy, the evolved form. Now, moving on to the size 3s, there are actually 2. First up, we'll go with the double rare, which is pretty much the highest rarity card in this deck. It's a size 3. Inexhaustible Dragon, Lord of Shadow Dragons. It's a size 3 with 3k attack, 2 critical, and 1,000 power. Put a Shadow Dragon from your field and 9 Shadow Dragon from your drop zone into this card's soul and pay 3 gauge. All Shadow Dragon in your field get plus 3,000 power for each Shadow Dragon in this card's soul. He's got Penetrate and Double Attack and Soul Guard. And remember, because of the call cost, he has a Soul Guard of 10. But downside is he has Lifelink 3. But yeah. Because he has 10 cards in the soul, that's like 10 times 3 would be 30,000 power for all Shadow Dragons, meaning your whole field can wipe out almost anything with just 1 attack. So really beefy, really tanky card. And out of all of them which were in the anime, there is another secondary form for the size 3 which was not in the anime. 2 copies of Anatta Overshadow Dragon. Now this one is a little different, but he's still really strong. Size 3, again, 4,000 power, 1k defense, and critical of 1. Put a Shadow Dragon from your field and 6 Shadow Dragon from your drop zone into this card's soul and pay 4 gauge. So a bit pricier, but not as many Shadow Dragons as the other size 3. If this card's on the center, all Shadow Dragon in your field get plus 1k attack and 1 critical for every Shadow Dragon in his soul. So this guy gets 7,000 power and plus 7 critical. So if you manage to play this guy first turn and attack for 8 damage, that's a really big heavy play. And he's got Soul Guard and Lifelink 3, just like the other one. So yeah, basically between these two, you want to play both of them for the option. This one gives you more power, but this one's also gives you more critical. So they're both pretty good options to run. And that about wraps it up for the monsters. Next, we move on to the spells. You're going to want to play 4 copies of Dragonic Shadow Gauge. Put a shadow up to 5 Shadow Dragon monsters from your deck into your drop zone and shuffle your deck. Then if you put 5, put the top 3 cards of your deck into your gauge. So yeah, this card basically helps you set up in the drop zone to build up for plays, and gives you the instant 3 gauge you need. So usually with one spell, you can pretty much evolve into almost anything first turn. So yeah, you're going to want to play this card at 4 copies, and it also goes in combo. Now what I like to do is I like to take, for example, 4 Shadow Dragon, and for the 5th one, it doesn't say they have to be Shadow Dragon specifically, I take one of the size 3. So in this example, I'm going to use an Inexhaustible Lord. That way it goes straight to your drop zone for instant access to this next card, which I will show in a second. Next card is you're going to want to run 3 copies of Machining Sacrifice. Now this is a Chaos card, but works really well in Shadow Dragons since their main boss monster is a size 3. You only cast this card during your opponent's turn, which is kind of the only drawback. Put a monster from your field into the drop zone. Call a size 3 or greater monster from the drop zone by paying its call cost. So by using Dragonic Shadow Gauge, by using this card first to send 4 into the drop zone to help build up, and sending 1 from your deck straight to the drop zone, situational, whichever one you want, you can go for instant search access for this to access your drop zone and then call that monster. So yeah, I see some combo play between these 2 spells. So yeah, they're pretty good. Next, moving on to the defense spells. Unfortunately, there's no green dragon shields and stuff since it's a size 3 build, which is kind of strange for Dragon World. 4 copies of Dragotrap. Its cost is 1 gauge and 2 life. Choose a card on your opponent's field, and for this turn, the chosen card cannot attack. So yeah, it doesn't matter if they have restand abilities or double or triple attack, they cannot attack no matter what. So yeah, this card's really good against triple attackers like bots, or even to stop annoying Prism Dragon double attacks. Okay, next up we're playing, to also add to the defense, going to want to play 4 copies of Sorcery Barrier Device. It's a set card. Damage dealt to you other than by attacks are reduced by 1. Abilities of all cards on your field cannot be nullified by your opponent's card effects, which is a nice bonus, but you're mainly playing this for the reduced damage. So you're going to want to play 4 copies of this. It's a Thunder Empire spell. So basically, one great example of how good this card is against the Aldo Athora matchup. Normally, the Overturn makes all your attacks useless and deals you 1 damage per attack, but with this, you won't take any damage. Plus, for the big size 3s, like Overshadow Dragon, Lifelink 3, it'll reduce your own lifelink damage, so that lifelink 3 will be only lifelink 2, which really does help with reducing damage. Plus, this card can stack, so if you have, say, 3 of them, your lifelink will be officially 0. And besides Dragonic Shadow Gauge, another card to help out with Gauge is the item. There is one item in this deck. So you're going to want to play 4 copies of Shadowscale Sword Dragoshadow. It has 1,000 attack and 1 critical. This card can attack even if you have a Shadow Dragon monster in your center. This card is not only good for adding Gauge to call your dragon, since this Gauge deck is pretty Gauge hefty, but also adds you another powerful attack unit. Now you'll also notice that it's a Shadow Dragon item, a Dragon attribute, so that means the abilities also add to this item's power. So it starts weak, but just like the other Shadow Dragons, also gets a major power boost. Souls and all Shadow Dragon monsters in your field cannot be put into the drop zone by your opponent's card effects, so it also adds protection to the soul. When a Shadow Dragon monster enters your field from your hand, put the top card of your deck into your Gauge. Now, if you call from the drop zone or from the deck with a Call for Friends ability, it won't add to the Gauge, but this ability does not say once per turn, so you can add a lot of Gauge with this one item by itself. And lastly, the last card you're going to want to play is 4 copies of the Impact. Shadow Dragonart's Dividing Shadow. Cast cost, put any number of souls from a Shadow Dragon on your field into the drop zone. Counter, choose cards on your opponent's field up to the number of cards put into the drop zone by this card's effect. Destroy the chosen cards, you gain life, and deal damage to your opponent equal to the number of cards destroyed. So yeah, basically with the main size 3 with a 10 soul guard, you can basically use this card, destroy up to 10 cards on your opponent's field, depending on how many cards they have, including if they have a lot of souls, for example. And you can basically wipe out their whole field with this impact, and deal a lot of damage and get a lot of life at the same time. And the artwork is also really awesome since it has basically a whole army of Shadow Dragons, the main size 3, size 2, size 1, size 0, and a bunch of other shadows. So yeah, the artwork by itself is also really cool. And it's also a counter, so you can use this impact during any time you want, during your final phase, your opponent's turn, similar to Cristiano Crystal Shoot and the Red Dynamic Diamond Overhead. So yeah, really powerful impacts. I think it's debatable whether or not you want to run this. I think the deck could go without it, but it just has another Shadow Dragon card to pick from. So yeah, that's basically been the Shadow Dragon deck. It seems pretty fun, and I really loved it as soon as I saw it in the anime and could not wait to start building it for myself. This is a pretty cheap deck. Pretty much every card except for the flag can be found in the Rainbow Striker set. Everything's pretty common except for the one double rare size 3. But yeah, it's a pretty budget deck if anything. It's pretty fun, and I really do like Shadow Dragon. He's adorable, he gets bigger and stronger and cooler. So yeah, this has been my deck profile over Dragon World. I will try to do more deck profiles in the future. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Check out my other videos, other deck profiles. I've done a deck profile over the Chaos. So yeah, tell me what you guys think about that. And yeah, leave a comment below if you want to see any other specific kind of deck that I could try to do. But yeah, I am working currently on other decks like Mother Dragon, Levitine, and what was the third one? Yeah, Many Gear Gods. I'll try to have more deck profiles in the future, but for right now, I'm going to take a slight break, kind of going on vacation soon. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy this in the meantime. Thank you for watching, and bye.